Hi everybody, I want to welcome you to Far From Normal's first ever online art class. I'll tell you a little bit about the class first. It's going to be perfect for homeschooled kids that want to learn a little bit about art. It's perfect for anybody that wants to develop or better their skills. In the coming weeks we're going to be working on a lot of different kinds of things. We're going to be doing some color theory, we're going to be doing some different kinds of drawing, figure drawing, perspective drawing. But first, in this class and in the next couple classes, we're going to be working on drawing basics. The reason that I start with drawing and drawing basics is because even if you're an experienced artist, you can always practice the basics and get better at your skills. And if you're just starting out, drawing is one of the best foundations to have. If you can draw something, you can usually paint it or sculpt it. So being able to look at things and draw them is something that I feel is very, very important. So that's where I want to start. Today we're going to focus on pencil skills. We're going to talk about how to control your pencil, how to control how hard you're pressing, how light or dark you're drawing. So what you're going to need for today is a few pieces of paper, this worksheet, which is available on my blog to download and print. You need a pencil, preferably a nice wooden pencil, not a mechanical one. Those are a little bit harder to draw with. This is going to give you better the effects that you want. If it has an eraser, great. If not, you might want to grab an eraser too. You also probably need a pencil sharpener, and then you're all set to go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is drawing lines. Like I said, it's important to know how to control your pencil. So we're going to start with just a plain line. The first one we're going to draw as light as we possibly can. So when you draw this one, I want you to just barely touch your pencil tip to your paper and just drag it across nice and light. And you get a nice light line. Now you might ask why you want to draw a line that light. It's important when you're drawing to be able to draw a nice light line. That way if you make a mistake, it's easy to erase. If you need to draw guidelines, you can take them out later. If you have a dark line that you've drawn, it's really hard to erase it and make it go away. You can see even where I erased, you can still see it. But on the light line, if I erase it, it's completely gone. So it's important to be able to draw nice and light. Now your second line, this one is going to be just like if you were drawing or writing your name, just a nice medium line. And then your third one we're going to draw is going to be a dark line. This one I want you to press hard, but not so hard that you break your pencil. We just want a nice, as hard as you can press, nice dark line. So you can see with one pencil you're able to achieve three very different lines. We can have a nice light, a nice medium, and a nice dark. So if you combine these, it's kind of cool. You can take them and combine them to give you different effects when you're drawing. Let's say we take a simple zigzag. Instead of just going up and down like that, we are going to do a nice light line up and a dark line down. So we're going to go up light and dark down, and up light and dark down, and up light and dark down. We're going to keep doing that, pressing a little harder every time we go down. And what we end up with is a really cool, almost 3D effect with our zigzag. It gives it just a little bit more, it makes it a little bit more interesting. We're also going to do a curve. We're going to do a simple curve up and down and up and down. But this time we are going to push a little harder at the top and the bottom of our curve, and do in between nice and light. And when we do that, once again, it gives an almost 3D effect. This one's a little harder and takes a little bit more practice than the zigzag because you don't have a stopping and starting point. You have to vary how hard you're pressing as you're drawing. But you can see how cool that is, how it makes the curves kind of stand out a little bit more. So those are our basic line techniques. We want to think about when you're drawing whether you need light or dark, and like I said, you can always remember you can always make a light line darker, but you can't always make it lighter. So it's always better to start light and work your way to dark. So this is our first step of really understanding how to control our pencils well. So now that we have done our line drawing, and you can see what a wide range of lines you can do, doing light to medium to dark. We're going to work on shading. Shading is a lot like drawing lines. We're going to work on how to control our pencils and how to shade nice and light all the way through to nice and dark. It's amazing the amount of different colors and different tones you can get with just a pencil. So you're going to want to grab this worksheet now. This is what we're going to be working on. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it. You're going to be working on your lightest over here to the darkest over here. We're going to do a whole spectrum of shading. All right, now this is our shading worksheet, and like I said, when we work on it, we're going to do a similar thing like we did with our lines. We're going to go from light to dark. With this, we're going to do our lightest here and our darkest here, and in between we want to get gradually darker. Now if you're left-handed, you can start on this side, because if you start over here, a lot of times your hand will end up smudging the rest of the paper. So it's okay if you're left-handed to start on the opposite side. What we're going to do is we're going to start super light, just like when we drew our line. Just have the tip of your pencil just barely touching the paper as you shade in this square. You want to try to keep your strokes nice and even so you get a nice even shading, and fill in the whole square so that you have a nice, almost white but slightly colored square. Now on the next one we're going to do the same thing, keeping our pencil nice and light but just a little bit darker, and we're going to keep our strokes nice and even and fill in this whole square. Now you're going to keep doing this through the whole thing, each one gradually getting darker till at the end here you're pushing nice and hard on your pencil, but remember we don't want to break our points, so be careful. So now that we've done the shading in sections here from light to dark, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look down here at these long rectangles. What we're going to do in them is to do the shading from dark to light and light to dark in these, but instead of changing like this, how we went from section to section, we're going to try to do it continually, blending from dark all the way to light just by lightening up as we go. It'll be a much more gradual change. I'm going to go ahead and do it and show you guys how I do it, and then you can work on it on your own paper.
David, you still need to talk?
Okay, so now we've done our lines, we've done our shading, and we've learned really well how to control our pencil. So for the next part, we are going to combine both of those things, and we're going to create a picture, or it's going to be sort of an abstract picture. It's not necessarily going to be a picture of something. We're going to take a piece of paper, just a plain piece of paper, and we're going to start like this. You're going to fold it in half, once like this. Okay, then fold it in half again. So you have a nice long piece. And then take that long piece and fold it in half one more time. So what you're going to be left with when you unfold it is a piece of paper that is now divided into 8 sections. What we're going to be doing is we're going to think about the different kinds of lines we made, the light lines and the dark lines, the zigzags and the curves up and down. I want you to think about, look around at all the different things that have designs on them and how many different things are made up of lines and shading. What we're going to do is we're going to fill in each of these sections with a kind of line or a pattern that you can practice your different lines and shading on. I'm going to go ahead and do this and show you how I do it. You don't have to do exactly what I do. You can do your own thing, make up your own designs, or you can try to do what I've done on mine. So here is my finished picture. You can see I filled in each one of those sections with a different kind of design, a little bit of different shading and some different lines. That's what my finished one looks like. But like I said, yours doesn't have to be exactly the same. You can do your own thing. This is just to give you an idea of what you're trying to accomplish with this project. I wanted to show you something else really cool that might inspire you. This is actually a shopping bag that we got from a store, and it is just covered with all sorts of really cool designs and lines and different kinds of shading. It's really a very neat design. So this is another kind of thing that you can look at and see how different kinds of lines put together can result in a lot of different effects. Okay, so now you guys know a little bit more about pencil control. We've learned about drawing lines, we've learned about light and dark, we've learned about shading. So you probably aren't finished with your picture, so you can keep working on that. And throughout the week you can keep working on your shading and your drawing of lines. And next week we're actually going to take what we've learned this week with shading, and we're going to learn how to shade three-dimensional objects to make it look like things are really popping out of a picture. So I hope you'll all come back for that, and I'll see you next week.